We're talking wills, trusts, and planning for the end. How do you really have those difficult conversations with loved ones? So stay tuned. Welcome to Unleash Your Audacious Confidence on Win-Win Women TV. This show is all about sharing the tips, tools, and techniques that will allow you to step boldly in the direction of your dreams despite your feelings, fears, or past failures, to imagine what's possible for yourself and live the life you deserve. Welcome to this episode of Unleash Your Audacious Confidence here on Win-Win Women TV. I'm your host, Alicia Couri, and today's show is such an important one. It's vital that we start thinking about things, and we want to reframe this whole conversation for you during this episode about preparation and having confidence, building a legacy, and creating a plan for the future. Because one thing is certain in this life is we're not getting out of this alive. At some point, we, a loved one, will pass on. And this show is about making sure that in those moments of grief and despair, we're not, number one, taken advantage of. Number two, we're in so much grief that we don't even know what decisions we're making. Or number three, that we understand what that process that's coming at us and we've prepared for it so that in the midst of all of that, it's already done and we can grieve peacefully. So on the show today, I have the amazing Lady Amanda and Cedrick joining us. So welcome to the show, guys. And I'm so thankful for you coming on for this conversation.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. So Lady Amanda and Cedrick, you can chime in anytime you feel like it. How did you get started planning for when someone passes?
Yeah, how I got started is in 2023 to 2024. I was experiencing a lot of death. I lost a close loved one. I lost a close friend. It was just back to back. Already just being in the industry that we're in, it was just like there was a lot of people who I kept seeing like posting GoFundMes. Even personally, when my close friend passed, her son called me and asked me about what he should do. He come up with money to collect his mother, my dear friend's body from the hospital that she passed.
Wow.
Asking me who he could go to, who has a funeral home. Now, I'm a woman of resource, so I did my research. My mom told me some information, got me connected. So I now have the resource and so I got started.
Wow. And how about you, Cedrick?
I want to say back in 2020, I learned something about living benefits. My son, Cameron, was diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome, something that happens with seniors. And basically, he was paralyzed for 30 days at a year and a half. And blessings to a doctor from the beautiful state of Ohio and the Children's Hospital that reached out after I prayed so many nights and days for my son to come back to health, that diagnosed him all the way from there. And with that, I realized there's a lot of things that they're not aware of. What he was diagnosed in, he had to have 2 shots to his spinal cord that were $50,000 a shot. So was that money that I had in my pocket? No, I did not have that. As I am an Army veteran, they paid most of the bill, but I had to do the rest. What happens when you go home? It's just that crusade to go out there, learn, and spread the information so we can be prepared for unexpected events.
So you said something very important. You said living benefits, right? Living benefits. Explain that term to me.
Okay. I'll take that one. Living benefits. How I can articulate this, ask you all a question that's watching this. Do you know someone that's had a stroke, cancer, or an injury and that has lived? What happens after that? So most people may think about insurance as us passing away, but what happens when you live? Insurance is there for that too. So a portion of your death benefit, as they say, they will advance you a portion of that for the health side. Think about what happens when you do live. Most people have to go back to work the next day, but somebody has to take care of you. Some of
Yeah.
those things later for tomorrow and in the future. So, in short,
Yeah. Things are unexpected. We don't know when our last breath is going to be. We don't know when a loved one's last breath is going to be. And to your point, Cedrick, you weren't planning for your son to be ill. So things happen unexpectedly. And most of us feel like, yeah, but that's not going to happen to me. Do you come across that a lot where people are like, that sounds good, but you know what? I got time. I got a lot of time for this. I don't have to even think about that right now. We've got a lot of time.
To answer your question, we get that all the time. It's now become a pet peeve because I'm just like, you just never know what's going to happen tomorrow. Like, literally, I witnessed someone on the job like have a full-on seizure. We wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. Yeah. And these days, life is so weren't expecting a pandemic 5 years ago either, so things these days are so unpredictable. But what you can do is build confidence in your preparation for it. How much should someone think about the preparation? Because let me clarify the question a little bit, because you might be thinking, I have insurance, as Cedrick said, but I have life insurance. I have this insurance that I'm paying every month. So we're covered. But with the rising costs of funerals and with the rising costs of just living, how unprepared are we really for a tragedy?
so I'm coming from the Chicagoland area. So what happens is the stigma is I'll get that before I think that my time comes. We think that okay, when I get a couple gray
When I
hairs,
get like
yeah,
78, in my
like
70s, then I'll
98
be
or something, right? You pull out
98.
all the gray hairs. Um, we may not have that much time. A question I always ask, what's the life expectancy of your family, right? When you get out and drive, you're not driving for you. You got to drive for everyone around you. You worry about all these different things. So the preparation actually starts as soon as you're born, right? The parents have to make those decisions as soon as a child is born, after 14 days of birth, because things happen, unfortunately, for younger children like my son. And the worst thing, and I'll be short with this, I've had one person pass away in my life. The most important person in my life was my grandmother. And now I have my aunts and uncles, and I'm the oldest of my generation. So it's tough to see people of our generation, high school, college, passing away. And now you're at that stage. If you're watching this, I got to eat better. I got to go work out. I got to do this. So you got to prep as young so you don't have to pay the price of being older. And
But
then
the part where people think that they're already prepared enough because they have life insurance. Like, I have life insurance, so why should I'm ready. I'm prepared.
Well, ask, and then I'll toss it to Lady Amanda. You have it. Do you have enough? Do you have enough to leave behind? Do you have exactly what you need to take care of you today? Do you have enough to build wealth? And do you even know that it's an asset? But the last thing, and I'll give it to Lady Amanda, is, all right, what if you can't afford it? What if you believe that you can't afford it? Are there options? And on the GoFundMe, what about the person sitting next to you across the room? Do they have it? And that's where the GoFundMe comes in, because you have to step up and be the responsible person. So, Lady Amanda, I'll let you jump in now.
No, I definitely agree with all that you said. Yes, you may have insurance, but then there's all these other auxiliaries, other costs that come into play. And then if you don't have those things in place, that's when it's that last minute scramble. Call this one, call that one. Then there's family feuds, and this person doesn't want to give. I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
So it's great that we have it, but then we have to be that bigger person too and share the knowledge, because a lot of people, they just don't know. They don't have a clue of what to do, what is out there that can help them. Some people think that they can't afford it. It doesn't have to cost a lot. We just have to make sure we have something in place.
All right. That's really important, having the foresight. How do I know how much I need? Is there a formula for that? If I'm listening to this or watching this and I'm thinking, okay, if I'm, which I am, in my mid-50s, and I'm thinking about probably living another 50 years, what should I be like? How should I be thinking about this? Because if I don't think it's a problem right now, how should I really be thinking about this?
Yeah, let's set you.
One thing that Lady Amanda, we talk about all the time, along with our partners, coaches, and everybody has mentors, and is, I want think about it from a retirement aspect. When do you plan to stop working? When do you plan to just go and travel and see the world and spend time with your family? That's the first rule of how it works, right? So when you use these type of plans and things like that, you want to start from that aspect. And then you want to plan for the next 10 years. Do you own a home? Let's talk about mortgage. Lady Amanda talks to me all the time about education. All of that is built into the legacy plan. Lady Amanda, you want to add on to that?
I think you covered it.
Okay.
Cool. I just want to shift gears a little bit, because I know when my father was sick, this was a difficult conversation for my sister to have. I didn't have that conversation with him because he was in another country. She was there with him. She was his caretaker. She was taking care of him, taking care of all the medical trips, the appointments, doing all the things. And she kept trying to also get his, because I was asking, I'm like, what does he want? Does he want to be buried? Does he want cremation? What does he want? And he never wanted to have that conversation. He said, oh, I have things in place. Don't worry about it. I have things in place, and I have stuff left for you guys. And then another time he would say, I don't have anything, so I don't have a will because I don't have anything to give. So there was no will. We didn't have any afterlife plan per se. When we got to that day when he took his last breath, we were like, all right, now what? Oddly enough, he was the third oldest of 12 siblings. He had 11 siblings. And he was the one that planned everything that went on. So whether it was a wedding or funeral, or he had all the contacts, all the things, he did all the things for everybody else. So now when we're looking back and we're like the three of us, my sister, my brother, and I, like, who's there for us? Since he showed up for everybody else, who's there for us to help plan and prepare for this? So when you have the opportunity, whether they're sick or not sick. How can you broach this conversation with people that don't want to have it because it has them thinking about their mortality?
Wow.
Right.
I give two types of approaches. When it comes to us men, we're stubborn, right? Men don't want to have the conversation with, many of my clients is always the women that step up to take control, right? Now we have in your dad, he was strong at taking care of everyone. And the first thing that we forget to do as human beings is, like Lady Amanda told me last week, take care of yourself. Put yourself first. You deserve that. So the one thing that I'll say is sometimes it just takes another person. Just ask. Just be direct. I'm a humorous person. I'll say, hey, do you want the James Brown funeral or Aretha Franklin, or what do you want? I'm just thinking about it. Just ask. Sometimes it will turn into an argument. People don't want to think about it, but sometimes it's that adult. You just got to say, don't leave me in that situation. I don't want to have to worry about this, because the most important thing is you. And I won't know what to do at that time. So just give me a little bit of guide. That's the best I can say.
Yeah. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I do. And I read a book called Crucial Conversations. My apologies. Can't remember the author. Great book for anyone to read. And that book helped me not only professionally, but personally, because there's just times you just have to talk. You just have to have that conversation. It's uncomfortable. You may get a bit anxious speaking about it. And a lot of people get anxious when it comes to thinking about passing, getting sick, the what ifs. But if we don't be brave and have those conversations, we're never going to know. There's just going to think it's going to be an uproar. So more of us have to speak out. We have to be bold. We just have to have those crucial conversations. Why? Because people's lives depend on it.
Yeah. And the ones who are left to pick up the pieces.
Yeah.
And like I said in the intro, when you're grieving and you have to make all these decisions, there are so many decisions to be made in that moment. And they're not easy decisions, and they can sometimes be very expensive decisions. Having a will, letting people know what your wishes are, is also important. Do you help people frame out their wills as well? Do you work with clients to help them frame out a will? Because it's not always about whether you have something to leave behind or not. It's also about clarifying your wishes. And I think a lot of people have that misconception that a will is just to leave things behind for someone else.
Yeah, we do. We work with clients, and we have services that we can refer them out to also that more specialized. And it's very important to write out what you want, how you want to go, what do you want to be said about you. I went to a workshop and we had to write out our own obituary. And for me, and I'm in my 30s, right? I was like, oh my God. But I was like, wow. And then I went to work and I had my will and I had people notarize it. And those leaders was just like, wow, you're like such a great person because you're putting things in place. They all looking at me like, wow, I don't believe you got your will done. I've got a daughter. I need to make sure because I don't want to leave her that headache. So
it's really challenging to write an obituary. It's challenging to think about all the wishes when you have to come up, like I said, all the little decisions. When we had to make the program, who's going to speak? Who do you want to speak at your funeral? Like, I have these conversations actually with my children. I always have these conversations with my children, and I tell them what I want. I'm like, I know I'll be gone and y'all could do whatever y'all want. But I'm just telling you, letting you know right now what I want. So y'all will never be like, oh, what did she say again? I don't know. But it's good to put it in writing, have a will. Is there like a workbook that people can start working on this sort of thing?
want to jump in and mention something. One thing that Lady Amanda, and always Lady Amanda is my favorite partner. She does something called a Kaizen Soulmate, where you can write out your final thoughts and desires and things like that. But I want to, and this is the part where everybody takes notes. In this order, the number one thing to do, which we don't think of, is to have a trust.
Right.
The trust is number one if you want to stay out of probate. Number two is the beneficiary. Do you have a bank account? Who's the beneficiary on it?
Mm-hmm.
Who's the beneficiary on your insurance policy? So that way,
Yeah,
when you
that was a big thing because
yes.
we didn't know who the beneficiary on his insurance policies, and we were scrambling around trying to figure out, and it turned out it was none of the three of his children. So we're like, we don't know who it is. So now we have to wait for probate for all that to go through because he didn't tell us. We didn't know.
Yes. So when you do that, the trust, they can have the will included into that, and one person that can carry that out. And I'll give a short situation is most people, family members like myself, I have 3 children. And what I would do is I may say, hey, my son, which is my middle child, I may say, hey, son, I trust you to take care of your older sister and your younger brother. And if he decides, you know what? Dad left me this money. I'm not giving y'all anything. That's what fights break out. Yeah, Dad left it to me. Lady Amanda left it to me. So when the trust is there, I'm telling you, from above, I'm not going to say from the grave, I'm going to be up here.
Yeah.
This is what I want you to do. I'm still going to be pointing a finger at you. So that is definitely the way. And that's why Lady Amanda introduced a funeral plan, a short for life. That way you can basically make the decision for the person that's not going to make that decision.
Yeah. Because a lot of people think this is for the rich. A will, a trust, this type of preparation. This is for rich people. I ain't got nothing. Why am I going through all this to do a trust, a will, and all this documentation and all this headache and hiring an attorney and all of this? What do you say to that?
One thing I'll say to it, and we'll tag team this, is think about how many assets do you have? I always ask questions. How many assets? If you don't have anything, and that's okay, the first one you want to have is an insurance policy. You know why? Because people don't know that investors buy those type of things. Has to be $100K or more, convertible from the right company. You ask your professional how that works. You can have a home and real estate and all of those things, but the easiest one, when I say, hey, from birth, this is the first asset that I'm going to give to you. And I'm going to bless you with that. And it can just grow and grow. I spent 23 years in the military, but I don't expect my kids to join the military. I want to do it the way that the wealth of America has done it the entire time for Roman empires. Lady Amanda?
And I just say it's for all of us. We're all kings and queens, and no matter if you have $1 or 2, okay, you need to have something. It's better to have something than nothing.
Yeah. And have it in writing. Like you said earlier, your wishes, your desires, if you have that written out, then you can avoid the family drama and the fighting after the fact. I actually had someone say that their mother told them, no, I want my kids to fight over the house. I'm not leaving a will because I want them to fight. And that's exactly what they did. And that sort of thing is control. You want to still have control over what happens. But what you end up doing is breaking your family apart at a time when they should be coming together. So think about, what is the legacy? Because this is about legacy, right? What is the legacy you want? Do you want people talking about you after you've gone, saying, oh my gosh, she didn't leave us any instruction. She didn't leave us anything. And what she did is she left us to fight. for what she had left? Or do you want them to say, oh my gosh, they loved me so much, they made all these preparations. I didn't have to pay for the funeral. I didn't have to make any decisions about what to do, what songs to sing during the service, what kind of burial. Do they want cremation or burial? What to do with the ashes if they want to be cremated? They made all those decisions, wrote out their obituary. So all I had to do was tweak it and update it a little bit. They wrote out who to include in the services, who they wanted reading, if they wanted someone to read. All those decisions, all those little decisions are important. Even where you have your services. Do you want a memorial service? Do you want an open casket, a closed casket? There are all these little decisions. What type of casket do you want? But again, it's not a morbid conversation if you frame it as an empowered conversation. So you frame it empowering.
I do want to say this. There was someone that passed away. It was an insurance agent. He passed away. And the first thing, everybody was in shock. But the one thing that everybody around felt was relief. He's covered. The wife or family, they're going to be okay. So we don't have to stress.
That's another layer of healing. That's a layer of healing that you're offering to people, that they can grieve and they can feel the love that you had for them by preparing, so they don't have to go through all that stress. You're absolutely right, Cedrick. This is a loving thing to do for those around you, is to have that prepared. And don't fear the conversation. Don't run away from the conversation. And don't think that by having the conversation, you're inviting death into your life. Because a lot of people are superstitious that way. They're like, oh, if I start talking about it, it's going to come for me. That's not true. That's not true. So don't avoid it because of fear. Stand in your power, stand in your confidence, and have those conversations. So, Lady Amanda, if someone is listening to this, or Cedrick, and they're like, okay, I need to make some preparations. You guys have opened my eyes. I've been avoiding the conversation. I need to do some preparation. What is the first step that they need to do, and how can they reach out to you to find out more?
Cedrick.
Okay, Cedrick, you go first.
Okay. Well,
she wants the last word. She wants the last word.
And I'm going to set it up. I'm going to alley-hoop this.
Yeah.
Reach out and have a conversation with a professional about how to handle the situation. What you may be thinking of, there's going to be things as human beings that you may miss, or that you didn't think of, and that you maybe did not know exist. And to do it as soon as possible. So that's when you pick up the phone and you reach out to Lady Amanda, and then let's take it from there. There you go.
All right. She set you up, Amanda.
And don't procrastinate. My number is there. My contact is there. I can be reached.
We have it in the show notes. So if you want to reach out to Lady Amanda, it's in the show notes, all her contact information. And she's going to help you rethink, or how to think about this, and then give you that, I'm not sure if it's a checklist or a workbook, that she has, like Cedrick said, those brilliant questions to answer, so that how to prepare for this. This is really a loving thing to do for yourself and for your family. And it's never too early to start. All right. And with that, we're out of time, folks. So I just want to encourage you to be bold, to be brave, and every day do one thing to step out with audacious confidence. And because our show was about this today, I'm going to tell you that one thing needs to be, get your will done. Contact Lady Amanda to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success for when that time comes. I'll leave it at that. All right. I'll see you guys on another episode of Unleash Your Audacious Confidence. Thank you so much for joining us today. Bye for now. Turnover It's incredibly expensive for any organization, but especially those that are small and mid-size. If you're an organization and you're hiring, it's so important to get it right. You need to identify the right people for the right roles. Here at Audacious Concepts, Inc., we help you perfect your hiring process so you get it right every single time. Reach out to us at audaciousconceptsinc.com